Shauna from Rews.
Woo!
How we doing?
Not too bad at all. Enjoying the lovely weather.
So the Bristol Gig Guide is very much about promoting the best of Bristol music and the Bristol music sort of scene and everything that's coming out of Bristol. Now, although people may have picked up on that accent is definitely not from the West Country,
No.
kind of fits because Bristol is home now, isn't it?
It is, yes. I've been here for almost, is it 2 years? Yeah, it's nearly 2 years now, actually. Yeah.
What prompted the move to Bristol?
I've always really loved Bristol. I when I first moved to England, actually, I lived in Cirencester, which wasn't too far away, and I was due to move to Bristol after the residency that I was in, like living in, but I decided I had an opportunity to go to London, so I lived in London for 5 years, and then it just got to that point when it was like, I think I would really like to just be in a really nice, creative, small environment with nice, lovely, friendly people. And Bristol's really like Belfast as well, actually, in size and stuff.
What's your favourite thing about Bristol? And then what do you think of the music scene within Bristol at the moment?
One of my favourite things about Bristol would probably be the green space that we have here. And I feel like even though I have been here for 2 years, I'm still discovering so many beautiful places. So yeah, that's one of my most favourite things. I feel like it's like a little box of treasure. Music scene wise, I feel like since I've moved here, I've either been touring, so out of Bristol, or on the days that I'm not touring, I'm usually in writing or something. So I've been out to a few gigs whenever I can, but I feel like I haven't really got to properly immerse myself in what this scene is here properly.
Yeah.
Although I have, I've met with, some amazing musicians just randomly when I went out to the likes of Mother's Ruin. I love that place. It's amazing. I love the gigs that they put on there. The Exchange obviously is a real kind of hub of activity, which, and I love to go to the gigs there. And yeah, I think I also do a bit of teaching at the Bristol Rock Centre, so that's where I would do my teaching in the evenings. So that's, I know Becky Baldwin and kind of Bristol Rock Centre crew. So I suppose I've got that kind of insight into the music scene, and the Griffin, of course. So yeah, yeah. It's I suppose I maybe know more than I think, but yeah.
We just got to hope that obviously everything survives with the Music Venue Trust doing some great work behind the scenes and just hopefully come out the other side of this with as many of those venues intact. And it was the whole reason we formed the Gig Guide, was purely to get people into the smaller independent venues around the city where the new music's sort of coming up through. Talking of the Exchange, that is exactly where this interview was meant to have taken place. So back to March the 26th, you guys would have been 8 dates into a 9-date tour, playing at the Exchange, and we were going to come and sort of talk to you, well, as it was, and record you live. Mid-tour, I think you managed to play 4 out of the 9 scheduled dates, and then this craziness kind of happened. With all the prep and planning that I know that you did beforehand, because I've been following you on obviously social media, that must have been a real kick in the teeth.
Yeah, it was, it was an interesting one because I kind of, I suppose whenever we were preparing for it, we had heard about coronavirus and, we knew that it was a thing. And it has been a thing for many years, I guess, but it was, this new outbreak of COVID-19. And I think we sort of didn't really anticipate it actually properly, becoming what it has become.
Yeah.
So I think on our first week, we were sort of quite hopeful that it was going to, maybe continue, it maybe wouldn't get as bad. But as we heard more reports about, what was happening in Italy and things, it was like, oh gosh, actually, this is a lot more serious than we thought. So I think it was a bit of it was quite disappointing in some respects, but also I think we were just quite accepting and adapting as we were, coming through to it. But yeah, we didn't know if we were going to, on the last date, basically, in fact, I think it was Manchester, it was just announced that it was a pandemic. that was, and that at that point you could see that people weren't really, a couple of the ticket sales had the people who bought tickets didn't actually come to the gig, that kind of way. So you could see the impact that it was already starting to have. And and then I think just when we were able to do the Nottingham gig, we were just like, we don't know whether we're going to be able to finish the tour or not. And so it was a bit of a kick in the teeth in some respects, but yeah.
You guys have taken you've taken a fairly unusual step from some of the other bands that I've spoken to at the moment, and you've decided to cancel the remaining dates, and people have already received, I myself included, have received refunds for the dates. So quite unusual compared to the others that have rescheduled. What was the thinking behind that?
So it was really advice from my booking agent and management team, and we all kind of were thinking what the best thing was to do. We're definitely going to redo the dates in one shape or form eventually, but my booking agent in particular was very worried that, because we don't really know if we're going to be able to rebook for this autumn, for example, and then also just what you kind of touched upon, we don't really know what venues are going to actually, it's very negative, but what they're going to, if they're going to survive and things like that. And I'd rather, like, we all want to make sure that if we're delivering the gigs, we want to make sure that we're going to deliver the gigs rather than then again postponing again. So that was sort of the thinking behind it.
So cancelled tour, worldwide pandemic. Hasn't stopped you though. You seem to be somebody that likes to keep busy.
I am indeed. I'm probably a bit of a workaholic, to be honest. But yes, no, it's been, I just feel like times like these in particular, it's really important to make sure that you can, I really want to try and help people's spirits to keep high. Because it's really tricky, especially if you're having to work from home or if you have been furloughed and you don't have any kind of anything to entertain you. It's it's very, very, very difficult, especially for such a prolonged period of time and not actually knowing when you're going to be able to break free again. I think that was kind of, I just want to make sure that I just want to do as much as I can to sort of keep people positive and like entertain people as much as possible.
I know that kind of shines through in the amount of content that's sort of come out over the past month or the time that we've been in lockdown. There's been single releases in the form of Monster, which it's got a crazily amazing video. So if you go onto YouTube and type in Monster Rews, it is worth a watch because there's a great track, but there's a wicked video to it as well. You've had the whole Sunday Acoustic sessions series that have been going on for the last couple of weeks. Multiple live streams, there's been quizzes, there's been karaoke. It's just been anything you can sort of do to keep the fans entertained.
Yeah, just been trying to think of some interesting things to do as well, because I don't know, I think it can be, because I didn't want to just continually do the same live stream, because it just I wanted to explore different things that people would like, and then if something's crap, then we'll never do it again. Do you know? But yeah.
It seems to have been really well received, to be fair, and I think people are craving content from the people that they follow as well. Yeah. So that was big time. I really do. One question though, with the amount that you've been doing in your sort of homestead, is do you get on well with your neighbours?
Interesting. I do actually, but I had never met my neighbours until really, like, because I've lived here for just about a year, but I'm basically in an apartment, so we just have a neighbour below us, and there's no one on the left side, and there is someone on the right, but they're kind of like, there's like a hallway between us basically, so it's only really the people below us. But there were new people that moved in downstairs, so I hadn't met them yet, but then I sent them a little note just to say, doing a live stream, if you want to, like, and also if you need any help with anything like shopping or anything, just let me know if you're self-isolating. Nice. And they got back with me. And they got in touch and they were like, that's awesome that you're doing gigs. I love music, and like you don't even need to ask, it's completely fine. I'm just like, this is amazing. So I've got really like supportive neighbour.
Now we wanted to catch up with you. This has been scheduled because we wanted to catch up with you this week in particular, because there's something imminent that you're about to drop that we'll come back to later in the interview. But before we do that, I wanted to go backwards to kind of start. Rews, why the name? What does it mean? and how did it come about?
Okay, so Rews, the name, it's actually quite a funny story. The name, I was kind of thinking about it for ages, but I couldn't find a name for the project. I was kind of playing around with loads of ideas, but I ended up in a kind of club in London. I don't really club, but I went with one of my friends to go and see, she was actually DJing, so I went to support her. And I went to the bathrooms, and you know the way you've got the graffiti all over, well, some pubs and clubs, you've got your graffiti everywhere. And I just looked at the wall, and I seen Rews on the wall. Well, it was like Royce, R-E-U-S. And it had it just was, someone had scribbled it on, but it was a really beautiful font and it really stuck out for some reason. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool word. I don't know what it means, but I'm going to go and look it up. So I looked it up, and it turned out that was the Dutch surname for, it basically means the tall people or the giant people.
Right.
And I just kind of someone told me years ago that a band always becomes their name. So my friend's band used to be called they were called No Sweat. And then they got sued, and then they had to then make it was called Sweat, and then they ended up finding that their career became more like they're sweating all the time, and they were like, whoo, what's going to happen next? So it just went all downhill from there. So I thought maybe it'd be really nice to have really tall, giant people who people can aspire to.
And you go that.
So that's kind of, so that's sort of like the...
Yeah, that is the story, because I tried for ages to sort of background research and find out where the name come from or what it meant, and couldn't track that down. But we got it from his mouth now. It was from graffiti in a toilet of a club.
Yeah.
But with good meaning behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
One album release, which was at the end of 2017, which is Pyro. Still one of my favorite albums of all time. My go-to running album is if I'm running or jogging, it's the one, because the tempo of it is literally what I need to run to.
Awesome.
By the way, if anyone wants to make an action movie, or they're doing like a new series of Rocky and they want a boxing montage or anything like that, it'll be the album is the montage scenes for that. Released on Marshall Records, which is also on the speaker there just behind you.
Oh, yes.
How did that come about? How did the whole... Oh, there we go. How did
I know.
come about? How did the partnership with Marshall, or the deal with Marshall come about?
It was through our manager at the time, actually. It was a guy called John Glennon, and he was kind of putting out the EP that was recorded to as many labels as he could. And Marshall actually approached him. Marshall Records had approached him and said that they really loved the stuff that they were hearing, and really, because we were only really just building up our fan base at that time. They basically they'd heard a couple of songs off the EP and were really keen to sort of get involved and see what they could do. And hey presto, we signed a deal. And
Pyro itself, for a debut album, got a hell of a reception. It led to radio play on Kerrang. It led to Lock and Loaded magazine doing features on it. BBC Radio 1. You've played at Glastonbury off the back of Pyro. It must have been astonishing to get that kind of reception for what was your debut project, or at least your debut album.
Completely, yeah. Because I don't think many people. Yeah, it's just you sort of need to get a good team that sort of know what they're doing to get behind it. So it's it was really I'm proud of that album.
Yeah, would be. It's easily in my top albums that I completely go back to time and time again. Now you obviously mentioned that Rews kind of came into conception as a duo, but Rews are now you, and you are now Rews. That said, and you've kind of mentioned it already, there's a kind of tight collaboration forming with somebody that I know, and it's a friend of the gig guide, which is Ellie Lucas off Taunt, who is just the most outstanding and outrageous live performer, and then Scott as well on drums. That kind of seems to be solidifying a little bit. Is that something that you see being more of a permanent fixture, or is that hard because they've each got their own individual projects?
Yeah, well, they sort of get first refusal on the shows and things. Ellie in particular, she is an amazing front woman in her own right, and I just think it's really important that that's nurtured, and she sort of prioritises that as well. But she loves playing in Rews, which is awesome. So yes, I will always give her. Yeah, so we're just basically doing it that way for now. Seems to be working with her.
How did you guys meet up and start collaborating?
It was actually fellow Marshall band mates, label mates. That's what I should say. Yes. So King Creature. Have you heard of King Creature?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were in America together last year, and we were playing NAMM together, and we became really good friends on that trip. And Dave Kellaway, the lead vocalist and bassist, and also their manager's wife, were really good friends with Ellie. And they had actually mentioned to me on that trip, they were like, you should bring in a bass player. This girl called Ellie, she's like amazing. So like she has so much energy. You two work really well on stage together. And I was like, that sounds amazing. Because it's sometimes quite hard to find other people who rock out as hard as you do. And Ellie is certainly one of those people. And in fact, she probably rocks harder than I do. But yeah, so they put us in touch, and we met up and had a dinner together, very fancy, and just had a jam, and here we are.
The first time I saw you guys live was at Dot to Dot last year, and literally we were going everywhere. And you played the Fleece, and it was packed, and you absolutely ripped the roof off of that place. The energy that you guys have on stage, I mean, you're kind of a high up tempo, like your records and stuff are high and up tempo anyway. But the energy that goes into your live performances is something to behold.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Is that something? That's just how you are. You're fairly an exuberant person anyway, and you're full of energy, or is that something that is very much a stage performance?
No, I think that's very much just the personality. Yeah.
Okay.
One of those people. Just I don't know where I get all the energy.
One thing I've got a personal request, by the way. I've been banging on actually about obviously how good the debut album Pyro is. If anybody has seen the Sunday sessions that you've done, which are basically acoustic versions of the songs on Pyro, is there any chance that could be coming as an acoustic album version of Pyro in the future?
I would love to do an acoustic version. I will. I'll get to it eventually. I think the first thing we're probably going to do is release this new album first, and then maybe get on to the acoustic stuff. Because that was something we had talked about with the label before. And I think it's because I've got the deal with my label, I sort of have to create a sort of partnership with them before I can put anything forward. But I think that's certainly something that that has to happen, really.
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. Some of the acoustic versions that you've put out have been superb. You mentioned new album there, so we have had Birdsong, we've had Monsters. Friday, this coming Friday, sees the debut of the brand new single "Heart Is on Fire" as well. Are they likely to be album tracks, or are they just in between where you are now and a new album?
They are on the album.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the story behind sort of "Heart Is on Fire" as a single?
So "Heart Is on Fire" is sort of it's sort of like the whole album is based around different journeys and struggles that people have. So each song has an individual kind of story. So "Heart Is on Fire" specifically is about sort of trying to encourage people to follow their passions and things that make their heart burn. And just, even if you make a little bit of time for something you love every day, that's better than not doing things that you love, because otherwise you're not really living your life to the full. So it's kind of about, just trying to encourage people to sort of, explore what they love and just do a little bit of that. And, because it makes you a much more rounded, happier person.
That comes across in the video as well, actually, because the snippet you put out on Instagram for the video is, I presume that is going to be the video, what we've seen as a snippet, yeah?
It is, yeah.
That's really of beat, and it's got such a happy, positive sort of vibe and dancey vibe behind it. That looked like it was a lot of fun to do. Was that filmed in lockdown? Yes. Really? Wow.
My boyfriend actually was following me around. We were just walking, and I was like, we need to get some more footage for Heart Is on Fire. do you mind just follow me around here?
Works really, really well. It's really quite finished article. Is the video dropping on Friday as well?
It will be, yes.
And like you say, this is the build now towards the second album. Is there any sort of news on when that might be dropping?
So, as well as the single being announced on Friday, there will also be an announcement of the album launch. So, yes, it's very exciting. So, yes, all will be announced on Friday.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah. Is that it? Has lockdown and the current situation kind of delayed things, or are things still going according to the plan? Timescale.
If anything, I feel like it's nearly brought things forward a little bit. Because all of us have been really keen to, on the Rews team have been just keen to like get some new music out there because, as you mentioned, Pyro was released in 2017, so here we are in 2020. An album needs to come out, I'm so like I'm actually like really excited about this album, and I think sonically it sounds a lot more developed, I think, than Pyro, and I feel like songwriting wise, I feel like I'm maturing with my writing, so and I'll always learn more and more, but it's just been a really fun kind of journey.
The three singles that we've heard so far over the past couple of months, they've still had that classic Rews sort of sound behind them, though. Very upbeat, very high tempo, high energy, beats behind them. Is that something that people will still be seeing on the album in its entirety?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, there's definitely, I think that's kind of like at the core of my writing anyway, because I try to write songs that are going to be uplifting for people, but also have a maybe sometimes a dark message or a message that that people struggle with, because I think that's my kind of mission with music.
What are the plans for the rest of the year? Obviously, are things up in the air now because of the current situation, or are you still trying to make solid plans?
I'm still making plans. So what I'm trying to do at the minute is I'm trying to brainstorm some really cool ideas for extra acoustic sessions. So I've sort of finished the acoustic series now because Pyro is now done. So I'm working on different kind of features that I could do for the next few Sundays and things, and then also I want to do like another acoustic version of the new album eventually, but I want to do something really cool, and I don't want to let too much out of the bag because I've been like brainstorming with my management team, and I think it's going to be amazing. As soon as we can get back onto the road touring again, we will be out and about.
And fans would like to pop along in and cover everything for you guys as well, because live, as I say, I've only managed to see you once live, and it was an experience. So definitely up for filming it again and coming along. We're going to wrap up with a few quick fires, so it's on as fast as you possibly can on these. Okay.
Need to warm up my brain here. Sorry.
You could sing, collaborate with anybody, who would it be?
Alive or not?
It doesn't matter.
I would love to do something with Karen Carpenter, if that was ever, if that was, because I think she's amazing.
That I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. Okay.
I quite like her sort of style, and her songwriting was amazing as well.
Favorite holiday destination?
Favorite holiday? I don't know. What is my favorite? Home. No, probably. I quite like. Iceland.
What's 9 times 9?
18.
9 times
9 times 9. 90 something. Hang on. I don't know actually. 80.
Close. 80.
81.
There we go. Romantic night or out with friends?
A romantic outing or a night with friends? Probably a romantic outing.
Okay. And if you could be any animal?
Cat.
Right. Have you got cats?
I don't actually, but I do love them.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe that's just like a common answer. Maybe I should have said a bat, because they're quite cute as well.
Unless you're in China, then it kicks off a whole world of trouble.
I know.
Listen, so thank you very, very much for taking the time out to talk to us. Massively appreciated. I'd say the Gig Guide are huge fans of Rews. Where can people get hold of your music the easiest, number one? And secondly, all things merch, where do people need to go to support you?
If people go to the website, which is rewsmusic.com/shop, that's where all the merch is. And that's probably the best place to actually go to support, because all the kind of proceeds go directly to the Rews kind of group, if you know what I mean. And as for kind of streaming things, probably whatever streaming service is your favorite, every Rews song should be available on there, or YouTube. Actually, I'm trying to encourage people to go onto YouTube a bit more. So that'd be good.
Great news on the album being an imminent announcement. Best of luck with Heart Is On Fire, the new single. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Hiya, this is Shauna from Rews, and you're watching Bristol Gig Guide.